everybody! I know today was supposed to be our zoo trip and we're all very disappointed that we don't get to share that with you guys, but I thought instead I could read If I Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss. This story's a little long and it's a bit of a tongue twister, so bear with me. I'm going to do my best. If I Ran the Zoo. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, and the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I'd make a few changes. That's just what I'd do. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have up here now are not quite good enough. You see things like these in just any old zoo. They're awfully old-fashioned. I'd want something new. So I'd open each cage, I'd unlock every pen, let the animals go and start over again. And somehow or other, I think I could find some beasts of a much more unusual kind. A 4-footed lion's not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. 5 legs on the left and 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, what a sight! This zookeeper, new keeper Gerald's quite keen. That's the goldarnest lion I ever have seen. There he is with his 10 feet. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people talk. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people gawk at the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk. I'll get for my zoo a new sort of hen who roosts in another hen's topknot, and then another one roosts in the topknot of his, and another in his, and another in his, and so forth and upward and onward. Gee whiz! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hens all roosting on top of each other. But that's just the start. I'll do better than that. They'll see me next day in my zookeeper's hat coming into my zoo with an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask when they see my strange animals come, where do you suppose he gets these things from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places. And that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go places quite out of the way. You have to go places no others can get to. You have to get cold and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my Skiegelmobile. And I'll bring back a family of what do you know, and that's how my new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will grow. I'll catch them in caves and I'll catch them in brooks. I'll catch them in crannies, I'll catch them in nooks that you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch them in countries that no one can spell, like the country of Modifapodifapel. In a country like that, if a hunter is clever, he'll hunt up some beasts that you never saw ever. I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel skin coats. And I'll sit down like dogs but have voices like goats, excepting they can't sing the very high notes. And then I'll go down to the wilds of Nantucket and capture a family of lunks in a bucket. Then people will say, now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is growing by leaps. He captures them wild, he captures them meek, he captures them slim, and he captures them sleek. What do you suppose he will capture next week? And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer, a mother, a father, 2 sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to another, whose horns are so mixed they can't tell them apart, can't tell where they end, can't tell where they start. Each deer's mighty puzzled, he's never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way round. In the far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a very fine animal called the iota, but I'll capture one who's even much finer in the northeastern west part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, now by thunder, this new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is really a wonder. Most beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it a hunter can never get bit. A zoo should have bugs, so I'll capture a squirrel whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. And then I'll go out and capture some chugs, some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. I'll go to the African land of Yurka, and I'll bring back a tizzle-topped tufted mazurka, a kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long if he swallows an oat for breakfast the first day of April, they say, it has to go down such a very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May. If he eats something here, it has to go all the way down his throat. His neck is so long. I'll bag a big bug who's very surprising, a feller who has a propeller for rising and zooming around, making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. Now that sort of thing for a bug is just tops. And when I've caught him, the next thing you know, I'll go and I'll capture a wild tic-tac-toe with X's that win and with zeros that lose. He'll look mighty good in the zoo of McGrew's. I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, and also a gooch from the wilds of Nantasket. And 8 Persian princes will carry the basket, but what their names are, I don't know, so don't ask it. In a cave in Khartoum lives a beast called the Natch that no other hunter has been able to catch. He's hidden for years in his cave with a pout, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him out with a wonderful meal that's cooked by my cooks in my cookermobile. What a crazy looking car. They'll fix up a dish that's just to his taste. 3 chicken croquettes made of library paste, then sprinkled with peanut shucks, pickled and spiced, then baked at 600 degrees and then iced. It's mighty hard cooking to cook up such feasts, but that's how the new zoo, McGrew Zoo, gets beasts. And speaking of birds, there's the Russian Paluski, whose headski is redski and belly is blueski. I'll get one of them for my Zooski McGrewski. Got a red head and a blue belly. And then the whole town will gasp, why this boy never sleeps. No keeper before ever kept what he keeps. There's no telling what that young fellow will do. And then just to show them, I'll sail to Catrue and bring back an itchcutch, a preep, and a prue, a nurgle, a nerd, and a seersucker too. Such crazy beasts. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hippo-no-hungus. I'll bring back a flock of wild Bippo-no-bungus. The Bippo-no-bungus from Hippo-no-hungus are better than those in the Dippo-no-dungus and smarter than those in the Nippo-no-nungus. And that's why I'll catch them in Hippo-no-hungus instead of those others in Nungus and Dungus. And people will say when they see the bips bounding, this new zookeeper simply astounding. He travels so far that you think he would drop. When do you suppose this young fellow will stop? Stop? Well, I should, but I won't stop until I've captured the Fizzum-a-Wizzum-a-Dill, the world's biggest bird from the island of Gwerk, who only eats pine trees and spits out the bark. And boy, when I get him home to my park, the whole world will say, young McGrew's made his mark. He's built a zoo better than Noah's whole ark. These wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the McGrewses. Look at that giant bird, guys. Wow, they'll all cheer. What this zoo must be worth. It's the gall-darnest zoo on the face of the earth. Can you see all those crazy animals in there? Yes, that's what I'd do, said young Gerald McGrew. I'd make a few changes if I ran the zoo. Looks like Gerald McGrew has quite the imagination. What kind of animals would you guys create if you could make your own animals and fill your own zoo? What do you think?